Yo, what is good, YouTube? Your boy, Martin Savage, the leader of Sound Production. Today, we're going to be reacting to what is Juneteenth and why we celebrate it by Brain Pop. Today is Juneteenth. It's Juneteenth edition. If y'all can tell, we're celebrating Juneteenth because of the day that slavery ended. And I'm going to be reacting to it. So make sure you hit that notification, subscribe, comment down below, and what next video I should do. And without further ado, in 3, 2, 1, let's get it.
I'm getting notes of bubblegum and cotton candy. Dear Nat and Moby, can you tell us about Juneteenth? From Miss Safford's class. Sure. Juneteenth is short for June 19th. On that date in 1865, enslaved people in Galveston Bay, Texas learned they were free. 2,000 Union troops showed up with the news. The Civil War was over, and so was slavery in the South. The news had taken a while to reach Texas, the westernmost state in the Confederacy. Juneteenth celebrates that day, when the last enslaved people in the South were set free. The Emancipation Proclamation had made it official. That was an executive order issued by Abraham Lincoln in the middle of the Civil War. It said that all enslaved people in the states, in rebellion against the United States, shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free. Meaning, it applied to the Confederate States, but not to the slave states that stayed in the Union. That's because Lincoln wanted to keep his allies in those states happy. Slavery continued there for months after the Civil War ended. The 13th Amendment outlawed it across the land in December 1865, a half year after Juneteenth. Well, the Emancipation Proclamation was still a big step forward. For one thing, it allowed black men to enlist in the Union military. Nearly 200,000 black troops went on to fight for the freedom of their brothers and sisters. But more importantly, it placed the Union squarely on the side of freedom, which meant enslaved people could escape across Union lines, and 500,000 of them did. Every Union victory brought an expansion of freedom. In each area of the Confederacy it conquered, enslaved people were freed. But as Union troops advanced, lots of slaveholders took their operations west. Many found refuge in a place far from the fighting.
Damn, that's
Texas.
tough.
Until Major General Gordon Granger came to Galveston on Juneteenth. Standing on the balcony of the Confederate headquarters, he read from General Order Number 3. The people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves. Newly freed people danced, cried, sang, and started to make plans. Word spread quickly across Texas. 7-year-old Molly Harrell was enslaved on a plantation over 200 miles north of Galveston. She said, "Me and my mother left right off. We all walked down the road singing and shouting." If only it were that easy. Many white Southerners refused to accept black people as their equals. The most hateful began a campaign of terror, attacking and killing black people across the South. Defying these threats, black Texans observed the first anniversary of Juneteenth. Back then, it was also called Emancipation Day or Jubilee Day. They sang spirituals, ate barbecue, played games, and recited the Emancipation Proclamation, even though the threat of violence was always there. The country passed several constitutional amendments to protect the rights of black Americans. But down south, state and local authorities refused to obey these laws.
That's just crazy.
Instead,
right
they did everything they could to make black people second-class citizens.
Back in the day, if everybody doesn't know, even though black people were free and all of a sudden, they still cannot be treated fairly with it. So even though they were free, they didn't get no respect, so they had to use dirty bathrooms. They had to not vote. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't get jobs. They couldn't get nowhere, nothing like that. And they can and the worst part of it is they couldn't even live anywhere. They were homeless. They must feel bad about each other like that. Like that's how I feel right here, man. That's how I feel about it. Like white people just don't treat black people very not fair, but but looking back what happened back then, that's just messed up.
First, black Southerners were prevented from voting, so they had no influence in government. Then, laws were passed to bar black people from participating in everyday life. They couldn't eat with white people, go to the same schools, or use the same water fountains. Black citizens had to live in separate neighborhoods and could only hold lower paying jobs. And they had to treat white people like they were superior. Try to fight it, and you risk jail time, violence, and even death. This policy of segregation or separation lasted for 100 years. Still, Juneteenth persevered. Celebrating became an act of resistance and a show of strength, and black communities got creative about making celebrations possible. Because of segregation, many public parks were off limits to black Texans, so they sometimes pooled funds to purchase their own land. In Houston, in 1872, ministers raised money to buy 10 acres, creating Emancipation Park. It became a safe place to gather on Juneteenth for decades. Smaller celebrations were held in people's homes and in churches, too. Juneteenth slowly spread through the country beginning in the 1910s. That was the start of the Great Migration, when millions of black Southerners sought a better life in the North. As people from Texas joined the migration, the holiday went with them. Then, during the 1950s and 60s, Juneteenth got even bigger. Black people connected their fight for equal rights to the fight to end slavery. Juneteenth embodied all of the pain and triumph of their shared history. Celebrations now featured parades and fireworks, street fairs and rodeos, and presentations about black heritage. Red food and red drinks symbolized the blood of the enslaved and their resilience in bondage. And in 1980, Texas declared Juneteenth a state holiday. Since then, 47 states have recognized it as a holiday or day of observance. Yeah, there's recently been a push to make it a federal holiday. That's when government workers get a paid day off, and most everyone else does too, like we have for Independence Day. In fact, some people think of Juneteenth as America's second Independence Day. Because the 4th of July only commemorates when white Americans gained independence, while Juneteenth is about when all Americans became free. Making it a federal holiday may not seem like such a big deal, but what a country chooses to honor and celebrate speaks to its core values. And freedom and equality for everyone are values I think we can all get behind. Nice! You baked a Juneteenth cake. We're not supposed to use actual red velvet. Blech.
Alright guys, that was today's video about Juneteenth. A new video is coming out very, very soon for Juneteenth. This is just the first one. The second one, I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do. So make sure you comment down below, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification button, subscribe to Brain Pop to get more facts about Juneteenth and a lot of stuff going on right now. And stay tuned for part 2 of Juneteenth edition. So stay fly, stay savage. The Martin Savage out.